Hello, I'm Bray.
And I'm Dan, and today we're tackling Majora's Mask.
Like what Bill Gates was to Microsoft and Steve Jobs was to Apple, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask was one of the first video games out of the gate to cement the massive potential video games can bring to the table.
Playing leapfrog with the success of Ocarina of Time, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask stands on the shoulder of a rather large giant in the form of its predecessor, and today we make it our mission statement to deduce if this game is the one that makes you work up the nerve to go to your parents' house, dust off the old Nintendo 64, and bring that sucker home to play.
It's also available on the GameCube, Wii, and the 3DS.
True, but every chance you get to annoy your parents by reminding them they raised a huge man-child should be taken with vigor.
There were many deliberations about the game's early development and creative stages, but they were ones that many of the gamers at large felt were more than worth the effort.
Shigeru Miyamoto attempts to fill his pockets with more green by filling our screens up with even more green. Of course, it will be off the backs of his contemporaries, e.g. Ao Numero Uno and Yoshiaki Kotsunami, since originally he was just content with making a glorified Game of the Year edition.
We're going to dive right in to construct a clearer picture of how great this game truly is, and if it stacks up to today's standards.
Yep, a wonderfully hand-painted Picasso of how legendary this game is, and how bad it could have been if E.G. and Yoshiaki stuck to the one-year deadline old Shigeru Miya Mercedes gave him. Man, if he was like that then, imagine how much of a pain he is now after he got passed over for president of Nintendo.
To truly comprehend this game's ups and downs, we will be breaking it down into 3 categories to get as accurate of an overview as possible. Let's get started. Am I gonna have to tug on your leash today?
No, I want to believe this game is as good as I've heard it is, and I will do everything I can to present the facts.
Awesome. Let's go. Majora's Mask takes place soon after the events of Ocarina of Time. Link begins the game searching for Navi.
Yep, that's right. Instead of just trying to finally seal the deal with Zelda, Link sets out to acquire Navi the Fairy, a companion that has nothing men usually look for in a woman, but has everything they despise in one, with all the nagging and clinginess. Link is just a relationship masochist. That's why he's living in a shack. He goes right for those otherworldly psychotic chicks and never goes with a prenup. You know what? Link deserves all the bad things that are going to happen to him in this game. Quick quiz, would you travel to the middle of North Korea to rescue your ex-wife who you hated? Not one of those dumb, we make great friends but a terrible married couple so you can split the house expenses and your kids won't grow up with an emotional scar. My God, be a proud pair of divorcees, you pansies. But would you go to North Korea to rescue your ex-wife in a complicated covert operation right after she took your house and your money? Nope, but Link goes ahead and at the beginning is stripped of the Ocarina of Time by the Skull Kid, who is possessed by the evil of Majora's Mask, which he stole with the help of, get this, 2 fairies, probably one of the many assets they obtained through a previous relationship.
Yeah, anyway, after Skull Kid steals the Ocarina and Link's horse, Link falls off a cliff into a dark abyss. After arriving at the bottom, Link has another encounter with Skull Kid, in which he is turned into a Deku Scrub. Subsequently, Link finds a new confidant in one of the 2 fairies that Skull Kid had with him. Tattle will be our companion throughout the game. After following Skull Kid for some time, Link finds his way to Clocktown and meets the Happy Mask salesman. He's the victim of Skull Kid's theft. The salesman promises that he will turn Link back into his human form on one condition. Link must return Majora's Mask to him within 3 days. He then sets out to explore Termina. While the 3 days elapse, Link meets some of the side characters, including the Great Fairy, the Bombers, and the Astronomer. In his current state, however, Link is unable to do much. He also learns that Skull Kid sits atop the clock tower, and that something might be happening with the enormous moon. So, when the 3rd day is coming to an end, he ascends the clock tower and meets with Skull Kid, with the moon towering over them, larger than ever.
Everybody's ready to cut themselves because the moon's getting closer to the Earth. So what? We always wanted to colonize it. It's right there. Inhabitants of Termina, all you have to do is pick up your lazy boys and put them on the moon. Neil deGrasse Tyson is probably fawning all over this, and he would have been in the game if they were fine with animating something other than a pure Aryan race in this setting.
We learned from Tail, the other fairy, to go to the swamp, the mountains, the ocean, and the canyon to find the 4 who are there, and to bring them back. Skull Kid speeds up the moon's descent, but before everyone's impending doom, Link attacks Skull Kid, taking back the Ocarina of Time, which causes a flashback to Link's departure from Hyrule. and plays the Song of Time. This sends Link 3 days into the past, at the beginning of the first day. Link talks to the happy mask salesman and learns the Song of Healing, which reverts Link back to his human form, and also nets himself the first mask of the game, the Deku Mask. After this, and learning that Link didn't recover Majora's Mask, he becomes extremely irate and then sends Link on his way again to obtain the mask. Now, Link sets off to find the Four in order to stop the moon from destroying Termina. Link must now travel to the four corners of this land and conquer what is there in order to obtain the help of the Four. The gameplay is mostly the same to that of Ocarina of Time, however with more features implemented. One of the more iconic is the mask system. There are a total of 24 masks in the game which give Link different abilities. There are a few that give Link the ability to transform into different races or different forms. Some masks include the aforementioned Deku Mask, which allows Link to transform from a human back into a Deku Scrub. There are also masks like the Bunny Hood, the Stone Mask, and the Blast Mask, which give Link a useful ability in the game's overworld, including a speed boost, the ability to be ignored by many enemies, and the ability to detonate a bomb without the use of the bomb item respectfully. Link will obtain these by doing the many main and side quests littered around Termina.
Link is also able to access tools and weaponry he was not allowed to use in the Ocarina of Time while he was in his formative years. Either his parents are dead or the limit on things such as the legal drinking age has also been lowered here in Termina. He's also way more flexible with all the work he's been doing down at the Yoga Grotto that just opened across the street from his local mini-mall with the help of his instructor, Ganon Guru, one-time homophobic Prince of Darkness turned LGBT donor Prince of Darkness.
Link also has the Ocarina of Time, which grants him many different powers by playing many different songs. Over the course of his journey, Link learns many songs that are of much use to him in his quest. These include the Song of Time, which reverts back time, the Song of Soaring, which allows Link to teleport to owl statues around Termina, and Epona's Song, which calls forth Epona after she is found.
While the Ocarina of Time may grant Link the ability to solve puzzles and call his horse, it also gives him the unenviable ability to relive over and over again the 3 hottest days in July.
That's right. The most iconic part of this game has to be the 3-day cycle. Tensions are always high because of the constant threat hanging over your head. You must be able to finish what you set out to do in a limited amount of time, or else you and the rest of Termina will die. You can go down many different paths during a cycle and then different ones next time. You cannot see everything in one cycle, so it benefits you to reset a lot and see what all this game has to offer. The graphics are improved upon from Ocarina of Time, thanks mostly in part to the addition of the expansion pack, allowing more processing power. While a lot of the models are brought over from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask just finds a way to make the game look more crisp.
You'll feel like you're playing a Zelda Twilight Zone collaboration as you constantly come across enemies and think, have I seen that thing before?
Termina is in direct parallel to Hyrule's world. There are many branching paths coming from Termina Field, going to areas like Romani Ranch, the swamp, a snow mountain, the Great Bay Coast, and Iconic Canyon. The game finds a way to make all these areas look unique, creating a game world that's pretty to look at from beginning to end.
I had some notes about character models, but I lost them, so I'm just going to sum them all up with this. It looks like they used LA Noire face technology on people with Down syndrome.
Come on!
What?
What the hell? If you're playing the original N64 version or picking up the beautiful 3DS remake, there's an amazing game that's still worth going through today and has tons of replay value. With the Mask Collection, the Lost Fairies, and the Bomber's Notebook, there's a ton to do in the expansive world of Termina.
Best of all, Shigeru Miyamoto got his wish, but instead of recycling Ocarina of Time and selling it again, he took the new fresh game that his associates made and released it as a collector's edition, which possessed glitches that didn't even exist in the original, a virtual console, 3DS remake, and an attempt to release it on China's IQ player, but not before the Chinese government banned it for its dark undertones, not only in the game, but also in the sweatshop-like conditions that Mia Monte Carlo put on his peers to make the game.
In closing, Majora's Mask expands upon many of Ocarina's gameplay elements and improves upon them. It has a rich and varied world with unique people and areas. The dungeons are incredibly well designed. While the amount of bosses are low, they provide a lot of fun, even allowing you to fight them more than once. The plot is amazing. The underlying conflict of absolute good versus evil shows the despair of the people in a world that is nearing its end. The plethora of masks and cool items make the game a blast to play through and definitely make it worth getting everything. Some people may find the 3-day cycle annoying, but I find it is a great addition to the game. It keeps the game intriguing to the very end. With a lot of focus put on side quests, the story is pretty short. Not that this is absolutely terrible though. Some of the side quests can be a little tedious. And in the original N64 version, the item management was exhausting at times, but I believe the 3DS version remedied this. I give Majora's Mask my final score of a 9.5 out of 10.
Alright, moving right along. My pros. Link's hat's a pretty good shade of green. You know, I'm a big fan of Emerald. And I like how prepubescent Link uses the Ocarina of Time to escape the consequences of his curfew. However, no Ganondorf. You think authentic Link even gets out of bed if Ganondorf doesn't make the front page of the Hyrule Gazette chopping somebody's head off? Only 4 main dungeons. No Zelda. Do you think Link even leaves the house unless he hears Zelda invited some handsome foreign diplomat from across the pond? But he knows they ain't gonna be talking business or politics, and he's gotta reacquaint her with the back of his hand. Reused enemy types. The developers couldn't have waited till Dink was was 2 digits old. Good on Skull Kid, of course. He struck while the iron was hot and Link was still finger painting as part of his daily education. Side missions make up way too much of the game, and this was no accident. One of the original titles of this game was The Legend of Zelda Side Story. The moon is barreling towards the Earth. The Mayans predicted this would happen. Why the hell didn't a single one of these clearly deranged characters heed their warning until they saw the moon? That must have been a jab at Shigeru Miyamoto, considering he was trying to destroy the fresh new world Eiji Aonuma and Yoshiaki Koizumi wanted to create. My final score for Majora's Mask is a solid 2.4. And once we average them up, that brings me and Bray's collective score to a 5.9, so might want to wait for a price drop on this one. Especially if you want to buy the original Nintendo 64 version, because there's some clearly deplorable human beings out there selling this thing for $250 markups online.
It's one of the best games of all time.
That's because a lot of people are afflicted with the disease of being stuck in the past and can't put this game under the 2017 game microscope.
The game's legendary.
Oh, it's a relic. It's nothing more than a relic.
You have no taste.